Good day to our senior high school learners and shout out to my students in Jose Abad Santos Senior High School. Welcome to our new episode, and we are now on the second part of our topic, freedom of the human person. But before that, let's have a recap of the highlights of our last lesson. So for our last lesson, we discussed the concept of freedom. We also discussed the perspective of freedom based on the following philosophers. We have Aristotle and the power of volition. We have freedom on the context of spirituality by Saint Thomas Aquinas. We also have freedom based on the context of existentialism by Jean-Paul Sartre, and freedom based on the context of social contract theory by the three philosophers, namely John Locke, Jean-Jacques Rousseau, and Sir Thomas Hobbes. We also identify and characterize the different kinds of freedom, like the moral freedom, psychological freedom, and the physical freedom. We also discuss the difference between positive and negative freedom. Now, between the positive and negative freedom, it is important for us to exercise positive freedom. And lastly, we also emphasize that freedom is not always absolute. Diba? Our freedom always has its limitation. Now, if you want to go back or to review those important topics that we have discussed last meeting, the link for our last lesson is posted on our description box. The ability to exercise one's freedom in any manner is called freedom of choice, and having choices are related to the freedom that we exercise. So for today, we will discuss our topic, and that is choices. We now move on to lesson number 12, still part of freedom of the human person, now part 2, and we focus more on the context on the field of the study of ethics. So welcome to another episode of Philosophy Class with Sir Edward. Freedom, free will, and determinism cannot escape consequences or causal results. In some discussion, we call it as punishment or karma, which we are responsible for. So for today's topic, we will discuss the concept of choices. And freedom comes with great responsibilities. It is an absolute understanding that all actions have consequences. Always remember that freedom involves choice. Chance and choosing are incommensurable. If a person has the capacity to choose, then that person can be held responsible over the consequences of his or her actions. Freedom is the power to be what you want to be and the ability to decide and create yourself. Many of the characteristics that define our personality are often a product of our choices. And freedom gives you the ability to strive to achieve that goal. So for example, talents are developed to their fullest only if we choose to dedicate time and effort to improve them. Like for example, the talent for public speaking, for the performance art, like for example, singing and dancing, diba, takes time to develop on our effort to strive, diba, to strive to hone our craft and to hone and develop our skills and talents. Freedom is also rooted in the human person's self-determination and the exercise of intellect and free will. A person's actions determine what kind of person he or she becomes. For example, a person For example, is that you saw a person carrying a heavy load of books and instructional materials along the hallway. Are you going to help that person to ease that burden of carrying that heavy load of books or not? Or you just simply ignore that person? So that is where you will use your freedom. You will use your freedom to help that person or not. And remember that freedom, as what I have mentioned earlier, is rooted on self-determination and the exercise of free will. It is upon our self-determination and our free will whether we're going to help that person or this person or not. Moreover, freedom entails responsibility. Freedom requires a degree of control from the person who exercises it. For example, diba, the ability to control yourself towards addiction or any impulsive behavior. To lose control of oneself diminishes human freedom and dehumanizes the person. Now, persons who are denied of their freedom by other individuals, groups, and institutions are also dehumanized. For example, slavery or imprisoned person. So, going back to what I have said earlier, freedom entails responsibility and it requires a degree for us to limit ourselves or to exercise prudence or control in order, for example, to overcome some of our addictions. Like, for example, we need to overcome, for example, our addiction when it comes to cigarette or smoking. Or for young people like you, the online games addiction. So, as you may see and as you may notice, freedom entails responsibility, and that responsibility is that you exercise a degree of control to limit or to regulate yourself and to overcome those addiction or impulsive behavior that you have. Now, what makes us free and how does freedom shape our experiences? Now, we have two elements that define freedom. First on the list is what we call as voluntariness. Voluntariness refers to the ability of a person to act out his or her own will or his or her own free will and self-determination. Now, decisions are made out of his or her own free will. Also means that a person may act even if he or she is not required or called to take an action. So, dyan papasok ang concept ng initiative. Voluntary acts are free acts which can be assigned a corresponding moral value. And whenever we decide to take action, this results in a certain consequence. So again, the first element to define freedom is what we call as voluntariness or the ability to take initiative. Number two is what we call as responsibility. It refers to the person being accountable for his or her actions and their consequence. A person who had no awareness of the effect of his or her action can be considered as acting with diminished freedom. Another reality that we have to face as we experience or exercise our freedom is the fact that freedom is experienced through the act of making choices. So remember, if you've seen the movie Spider-Man, di ba? It was mentioned by Uncle Ben to Peter Parker that with great power comes great responsibility. Again, for the end time, our freedom is not always absolute because it entails responsibility on our part. Now, let's proceed to the nature of the choices we make or the act of making a choice. Understanding the importance of being prudent in making choices, we will all realize that any deliberate act of choosing involves evaluating the alternatives or the options. The concept of weighing the reasons explain that when we are choosing, the act involves not only weighing the reasons but giving weight to reasons. Meaning, we need to think of the pros and cons, we need to think of the consequences before choosing, di ba, from the different alternatives. We need to choose or we need to think or base our decision which one would be better in the end. Think of a long-term goal. Think of a long-term solution. Now, after you have chosen each alternative, you will realize that some considerations carry more weight than the others. That is why you choose one alternative and disregard the other. So, it is a must that we should be careful prudent and mindful on making decisions or on making choices in life. Now, the branch of philosophy related to our lesson for today is the field of ethics. As what we have mentioned on our previous discussion, during our first quarter discussion, ethics is a branch of philosophy that deals with the systematic questioning and critical examination of the underlying principles of morality. Ethics refers to the goodness or badness of an action. It talks about the concept of morality. Now, we have the following related concepts for our lesson. We have first concept, and that is moral agent. A moral agent is a person who has the ability to discern right from wrong and be held accountable for his or her own actions. Moral agents have a moral responsibility not to cause unjustified harm. So, every time that we need to make moral decisions, then we become a moral agent. As what I have mentioned on our previous discussion, to give you an example of what a moral agent is, say for example, you caught your classmates or you learn that cheating is rampant on your class, especially now with the online class. Screenshots of the Google Forms were disseminated to the group chat. So it is on your burden as a moral agent whether you're just going to ignore the ongoing online cheating, or you're going to report it to your teacher so that you would not be able to tolerate the wrongdoings or the misbehavior or the misdeeds of your classmates. So that is what we call it as moral agent. And from our day-to-day life, di ba, we all encounter situations that needs moral decision, and therefore we become what we call as a moral agent. Now, when we say moral decision, these are choice made on a person's ethics, manners, character, and what they believe is proper behavior. These decisions tend to affect not only our well-being but the well-being of others. Now, let us define or distinguish intellectual choice and practical choice. When we say intellectual choice, this is a choice which is deliberately selected based on a moral standpoint. They are normative answers about what we ought to do from a moral system that we uphold and its moral principles. When we say intellectual choice, this is the obvious answer that we should give, or that we should act, or that we should choose based from a situation. So say for example, you saw for example a wallet when you go outside or when you went outside. Diba? If going to choose intellectual choice, the obvious answer this is that you should look for the owner of the wallet and return it to the rightful owner because you don't own that particular wallet. That is from the point of view of intellectual choice. You provide normative answer. It comes from the word norm, expected behavior, di ba? You're going to choose what is expected from you. That is intellectual choice. These normative answers would take into consideration the behavior which the society will accept. For example, when you are to decide in a moral issue, you can try to give intellectual choice as a normative answer. Here, you are simply assuming you are not, as it were, facing that actual moral situation described in the dilemma. In this case, the answers that you are inclined to give are prescriptive in this imaginary and hypothetical situation. So again, for intellectual choice, binibigay mo yung sagot o yung choice dahil ito yung tingin mong tama. Ito yung tingin mong katanggap-tanggap sa lipunan. On the other hand, when we say practical choice, these are choice which is born out of psychological and emotional considerations. Practical choices are made when confronted with the actual situation. Uh, in comparison with the intellectual, hindi ikaw ang nasa situation na yon, parang hypothetical lang siya. But for practical, you're confronted with the actual situation and usually affected by the psychological aspect of the person embroiled in the moral situation or dilemma. Now, for example, psychological and emotional stress and lack of time to deliberate during an actual moral situation may affect a person's moral decision in that situation. A person may be so engulfed by emotions that he or she may sometimes to fail to make the right choice. Likewise, stress could make a person's practical choice inconsistent with his or her intellectual choice. Now, going back to the example that I mentioned a while ago, if we're going to choose practical choice on that situation wherein you saw a wallet and say for example you are in need or needy or financially in need during those time, then on the point of view of practical choices that you're going to take that particular wallet. Again, practical choice are choices made when you are confronted with the actual situation. Now, it's up for us to decide whether that particular decision is considered moral or not moral. So, dyan papasok yung pag-aaral ng ethics. But then again, in making choices, we need to be careful, we need to be prudent on making decisions and choices. To understand more the concept of choices based on the context of morality and ethics, let us analyze this situation, what we call as the trolley problem. There is a runway trolley barreling down the railway tracks. Ahead on the tracks, there are 5 people tied up and unable to move. The trolley is headed straight for them. You are standing some distance off in the train yard next to a lever. If you pull this lever, the trolley will switch to a different set of tracks. However, you notice that there is one person on the side track. Now, you have two options. Number one, do nothing and allow the trolley to kill the 5 people on the main track. Or the second option, pull the lever, diverting the trolley to the side track where it will kill one person. The question now is, which is the more ethical option? Or simply, what is the right thing to do? Now, this particular situation, though it may seem absurd, entails a difficult decision, entails a difficult choice because whatever choices that you made, it will entail the lives of the people. Diba? Regardless whether 5 people will be killed or 1 people will be killed, still, you will commit or you will be responsible for the killing of those person. So this particular situation is a classic manifestation of what we call as moral dilemma. Now, what is moral dilemma? Dilemma, let us define first dilemma. Dilemma is a situation where a person is forced to choose between two or more conflicting options, neither of which is acceptable. When dilemmas involve human actions which have moral implications, they are called ethical or moral dilemmas. Moral dilemmas are situations where persons who are called moral agents in ethics are forced to choose between two or more conflicting options, but neither of which resolves the situation in a morally acceptable manner. So, I have here some situations for you to understand the concept of moral dilemma. So, we have here, for example, Lindsay is a deeply religious person. Hence, she considers killing humans absolutely wrong. Unfortunately for Lindsay, it is found out that Lindsay is having an ectopic pregnancy, meaning the child or the fetus is not situated on the uterus but outside of the uterus, and that makes her pregnancy at risk or dangerous. Now, Lindsay is faced with two conflicting options. Whether A, to resort to abortion, or letter B, to does not resort to abortion. And this is an example of moral dilemma. Whatever decisions that we're going to choose, di ba, still our morality would still be compromised. Now, we have three conditions that must be present in moral dilemmas. Number one, the person or the agent of a moral action is obliged to make decisions about which course of action is the best. Number two, there must be different courses of action to choose from. Number three, no matter what course of action is taken, some moral principles are always compromised. Another example, we have here a military doctor is attending to the needs of the wounded soldiers in the middle of the war. Unfortunately, two soldiers urgently need a blood transfusion. However, only one bag of blood is available at the moment. To whom shall the doctor administer the blood transfusion? So again, this is an example of moral dilemma. So these are extreme scenarios wherein we should be mindful. It involves discernment, reflection, and of course prayer, diba? Asking for divine intervention for us to make the good and to make a fair decisions and choices. Now, given the consequence and gravity on making choices and decisions, it is therefore important for all of us to evaluate and exercise prudence in our choice or in making choices in life. When we are exercising our choice, we must always be cautious and aware of the choices that we make, as well as the implications of this in the future. The capacity of an individual to make good choice comes from his or her accumulated experiences and values. Always remember that when we make choices not for ourselves, but also for the things that will affect that choice. Now, choices also entails consequences and entails sacrifices. We must take into consideration the necessary sacrifices that we must make for us to grow. There are times that when we decide, we take risks, may it be a sacrifice or consequence, and the tendency of humans to take such daunting tasks comes from his or her experiences and values. In totality, the situation and progress of a person in a situation falls on the result that is our goal depends solely the weighted consequences we must bear and the sacrifices we must endure. So say for example, despite the difficulty that we're experiencing because of the online class, diba, the difficulty of the internet connection, diba, some of us having experienced eye strain, the difficulty of managing our time at home and on the demands of our online class, we should be more resilient, we should be more flexible, we should be more patient to endure sacrifices. Remember that every choice that we make always entails consequences and it demands sacrifices. We must endure sacrifices for us to grow as a person and eventually to reach whatever we want, whatever we aspire in life. Now, how can I exercise my freedom in a responsible and beneficial manner? Now, we must all remember that human freedom, though essential, is not always absolute. Human freedom should be exercised with control and a recognition of reasonable limits. Limiting personal freedom requires sacrifice to a certain self-interest and accept certain realities that are beyond control. And our sense of right and wrong guides us on recognizing and deciding on the limitations of our freedom. Freedom should also be exercised with regard for knowledge and truth. It is necessary to cultivate the intellectual virtue of prudence in making sound choice. Remember that in exercising our freedom, we should also recognize and uphold not only our individual freedom but also the freedom of others. Diba? We should be mindful of exercising our freedom. Our freedom limits or stops us whenever we inflict harm or risk or danger to other people. Therefore, freedom should be exercised with due regard for the welfare of other persons. And for the last part of our discussion, let's have here two concepts, the given and the chosen. When we say given, givens are what we call as the predetermined things that do not negate our freedom but give us the opportunities to exercise our freedom when we determine ourselves. So say for example of given, our family, our name, our socio-economic background, those are what we call as given, diba? Those are the predetermined things given to our life. But based on our lesson, di ba, we all have the capacity to make decisions, to make choices in life. And that is where chosen will follow or enter the picture. Chosen because we should use our freedom in a good way so that we may become better people and better versions of ourselves. What I'm trying to say, despite of the difficulties or struggles that we experience because those are the things given to our life, still we have our decisions, di ba, to transcend or to surpass or overcome those difficulties and adversity so that we can become uh, better in the future and in the process to become a better versions of ourselves. Now, let's have a recap of our discussion for today's topic. We discussed the concept of freedom. And freedom always involves choice, and that choice entails responsibility because for every decisions that we make, it follows consequences. We also discussed that freedom entails two elements, and those elements are what we call as the element of voluntariness and responsibility. And lastly, we also discussed the concept of ethics. We discussed man as a moral agent and man capable of moral decisions and experiencing moral dilemmas in life. Now, always remember that freedom comes with responsibility, and we should always be prudent and mindful on making our choices and decisions in life. And that ends our lesson for today. I am Sir Edward. See you again next time for new learnings and discoveries as we continue our pursuit for wisdom and truth in philosophy class with Sir Edward. Have a great day and stay safe.